si Van Patrice Valerio. Nag-exchange ko noong fall 2023 sa Kansai University of International Studies sa Kobe, Kyoto, sa Japan. And tapos, a little over 4 months, October to February, exchange. I'm Angela de la Cruz, and I went on a Japanese language learners counterpart program sa Japan Foundation Japanese Language Institute sa Kansai, sa Osaka for 44 days.
Good afternoon, my name is Abel de Gracia. Just like Ellie, I also participated in the same program last summer from July 9 to August 21, so that's 44 days. And then sa Hajiri City sa Osaka.
Ayun, so ako naman si Alvic Del Campo. So, Kansai din ako sa Kyoto naman. Tapos, nag-participate naman ako sa Lipad Aral Exchange Program ng Oil UPD. So, that was one semester from spring semester siya. So, from April to around September. Last semester siya noong 2023 to 2024. And ayun, ang naging school ko there was Kyoto University of Foreign Studies or KUFS.
Hi, I'm si Maria Julia Zedeca de Guzman Rivera. Same with Van. I was in Kansai University of International Studies. And same with Albrecht, I was there last semester for spring semester 2024. And I was there, same with Albrecht, I think it's around March to September as well.
Hello, ako si Laura Angeline ko, but I'm more known as Pao. And nag-exchange ako nung second sem na 2023-2024. And nag-exchange ako sa University of Tsukuba. It's in Tsukuba, Ibaraki. So, 1 hour siya away from Tokyo. Ayun. Tapos, I was also under the AIMS program there. And I was there for around 5 months.
Sa airport pa lang ng
Bakit? Ano po? Kasi, well, for one, diba merong set, parang traditional na toilet ng Japan. So, usually nga sa sahig siya. Tapos, iba siya sa European style na toilet. So, nagsasquat usually pag ano, sa Japanese toilet. Kaya, culture shock na siya dito.
tissue paper.
Yes, yung tissue paper.
So, lahat ng comfort room, meron siyang toilet paper, unlike in the Philippines. And yung toilet paper, hindi mo siya pwedeng itapon sa trash can. So, it's specifically made para ma-recycle. So, you have to flush it down the toilet. So, sanay kami lahat na magtapon sa trash can. So, we had to adjust to that.
Speaking of trash can, sobrang onti ng basurahan. Sobrang encourage nila na keep your trash until umuwi ka. To the point na sobrang dami na binibit namin ng trash. So, sabi ng prof ko, kaya daw yung trash can. Kasi may natin, parang poison or something.
Yeah, terrorist attack, yeah.
And speaking of keeping your trash, nasanay din ako like to keep use plastic bottles. So I can use to refill water at a later date. And then that water was tap water.
Yeah, nasanay din ako sa tap water.
Nung una na rin ako mineral yung iniinom ko. Pero nalaman ko na pwede pala yung tap. Parang, oo, ano.
Students
actually, ano rin speaking of trash, like, yung ano kasi, sa Japan, di ba may silang very, sophisticated waste segregation system.
Yes.
Parang, shocking din siya na adjustment para sa akin kasi, I mean, dito sa Pilipinas, kunwari sa amin, hindi masyado nag-segregate ng basura. Pero doon, sabi ng dorm sa amin na strict sila na kapag hindi nakasegregate na maayos sa basura, hindi kukunin ng waste collector. So parang kasalanan mo na yun kapag namako sa community, diba, na naiwan yung basura mo.
Or sobrang natuwa ko dun. Kasi kaya mong iwan yung trash mo sa room na hindi siya namamako. Nang matagal.
Baka dahil sa temperature din. Kasi kung pumunta kami like fall. So speaking of the temperature, one of the adjustments was also like when I first went to Japan the first week, the temperature was still good. Pero the week after, sobrang lamig. Sobrang ginaw. Tapos hindi sapat yung dalawang damit. So I really had to go and buy new clothes.
Lalo na pag mahangin.
Oo, grabe.
Ako baliktad. Kasi, dumating ako March 2020. Malamig pa.
Malamig.
So, galing ako sa airplane, di ba, nakabalot pa yung katawan ko. Pero pag abot ko sa Kyoto Station, like, humangin talaga yung, parang powder, parang makulan siya, wet snow siya. Tapos, biglang lamig kasi yung kamay ko, di ko siya magalaw. Parang, kasi sobrang lamig, di ako ready na, di ako nagdala ng gloves. So, parang,
Hindi namin naranasan yun. Kasi paglabas namin ng airport, yung unang thought ko ay, girl, nakaamoy ko yung dagat kasi sobrang humid, sobrang init. And it was sa airport, sa airplane pala, mga balat na balat kami. So pagdating dun sa labas ng airport, kasi
kaya sa airport na, no?
Yeah.
Baliktad sa akin. Nung sa loob ng airport, parang okay lang na temperature. Ganun, heater. Paglabas mo nung pinto, parang nag-aircon ka sa labas.
Yeah.
So parang, nanibago ako dun sa, naka-aircon ba sa labas or nasa labas talaga ako? Kasi, ang weird yung hindi ako sanay na, kasi diba sa Pilipinas, pag lumabas ka ng kunwari ng mall, init yung bubungan sa'yo.
Yeah.
Pero doon, yung first time mo, lamig, parang, that's new.
Hindi ako ready. Kasi like, tinanong ko yung friends ko sa Japan na anong temperature doon. They're like, it's fine, mga 18 degrees, ganyan. You'll be fine. So, syempre yung pants ko. Like, normal Philippines, like, parang ebbs lang. Oh my gosh, pagdating ko, 1 degree lang. Nanginginig ako sa labas ng bus. Naghintay ako ng bus. Hindi ko na kaya. Tapos yun, the next day, nag-snow pa. So, like, oh my gosh, hindi ako prepared talaga. Pero yun, you need to be prepared.
Yes.
Kasi ako nga rin, nung pagdating ko doon, pagpunta ko sa hotel ko, kasi nag-stay, nag-nosebleed ako, parang, normal ba to? May nangyayari pa sa akin. Parang parang nabigla yung adjustment. Diba?
I think one other adjustment na syempre kailangan natin gawin is yung to keep introducing ourselves to the new people. And yung sa amin, parang since 36 people lang kami sa program namin, parang we're very, not forced, pero like kami lang yung mag-i-interact the whole 44 days. So talagang kailangan namin sila kilalanin. And yung first na mga icebreaker na pinakagawa sa amin is parang syempre ikot ka, tapos introduce yourself and everything. So medyo nahirapan ako syempre na kapasaluhin lahat ng pangalan nila. And sobrang, since hindi sila Japanese, so we're from different countries talaga. Like, walang Japanese person sa program namin. Medyo mahirap alalahanin yung pangalan nila kasi. Mahirap. Ayun.
No.
Dahil po ako, di ko tingnan. Lang, information, like, pangalan ko, gano'n. Like, nag-aaral ako sa UP, gano'n, diba? Pero, naging useless din siya on my part kasi kasalanan ko yung pero naiwan ko sa loob ng maleta ko. So, So, nung nasa classes ako parang, wala, maabot.
Hindi kami sinabihan, so, hindi ko alam kailangan.
Bigyan na ko.
Hindi naman, diba? Parang, mas magaling lang yung sabi sa airport.
Wala akong mabigay.
Ako lang to. Hindi ka pwede pumara kahit saan. Like, you have to go down at a specific stop. Kasi sa amin, wala kaming train sa school. Bus lang siya. Tapos, may specific stops lang. Tapos may specific na ruta. So, kung kunyari na mismo na yung stop na yun, wala ka na. Maglalakad ka na.
Similar sa Kyoto train man or bus.
Hindi sila titigil for you.
And I think usually, like, instead of taking public transportation, since medyo mahal siya, on the pricier side, kami ng friends ko, we prefer walking. Yeah, to save money.
Speaking of, like, ako nga rin kasi noong una, nagkakommute pa talaga ako sa campus kasi malayo-layo rin yung dorm namin. So, sana ako dito, Nijo, malapit sa Nijo Station sa Kyoto. Tapos, mga dalawang stops siya sa subway ng Tozay Line. Eh, kung ika-calculate mo yung gastos mo doon, parang nasa 160 pesos na siya agad. Isang sakay mo pa lang yun. So, parang kung dalawahan yung araw-araw, diba, magka-accumulate ulit yung gastos mo.
Yung minimum nila is like 100 plus pesos na 10-minute walk lang na.
Yeah.
Diba?
Sakay nga ng transport.
Siguro masyadong, hindi naman nag-order, masyado lang famous yung transportation system nila na parang akalain mo, lagi ako magagano sa Japan. Pero sobrang mahal niya. So, mas maganda mag-bike and bike later.
For me, I developed a love-hate relationship with coins. Like living here, it's nice to have a good amount of coins. But in Japan, it's better to have more coins because since walking culture, it would be inconvenient if what you're bringing was heavy, so you wouldn't bring so much stuff. And because of that, you'll opt out not to bring a water jug. So, and since there are many vending machines, so you have that option. Pero the price for beverages, you need coins rather than bills. The lowest bill is actually very high. So it was a change for me to really have a separate pouch for coins and just always have lots of coins before you go out.
Very
Cash talaga. Yeah.
Dahil na po sa mga dito yung shrines or mga traditional na lugar, diba? Isang tumatanggap na card or so, kailangan mo talaga magbayad ng cash or hindi mo mabibili ito.
Pero kaya famous lang yung pagiging cashless nila kasi pag may cashless na offer, as in sobrang daming offer.
Yeah.
Pero pag mga traditional shops, cash.
Yeah.
Pero ako yung isa sa mga kinaka-stress ko doon was yung 1 yen na coins.
Oh yeah.
Kasi,
tinatake
diba?
siya.
Parang nung
By tens, tapos binibigay ko.
kapag nasa vending machine, usually, diba, ang tinatanggap nila na lowest, 10, diba? Eh, meron ka pang 5 tsaka 1 na yan. So, parang, ang hirap nila i-dispose kung bibigat na yung coin pa ng first. Diba?
Feel ko hindi rin kasi accessible yung mga cashless na options kasi meron din sila yung GCash na alternative. Parang GCash na version. Yung PayPay.
Yung PayPay.
Pero hindi kasi ako maka-register doon. So hindi rin ako, puro cash din ako.
Yun din, if you're not a Japanese citizen, it's very hard to get like anything. Yeah, anything. Really. Phone number, bank accounts, ganyan. So you really need your dining card for almost everything. Tapos ayun, since we're talking about cash, for me it's like self-cash out, self-checkout. Yeah, so yun yung isang struggles ko rin. Kasi like, sa Philippines, sanay tayo napipila and then yung attendant yung yeah. But there, almost every shop, siguro 99% is self-checkout. So you have to pay by your own, dapat alam mo yung coins. Tapos yung sa akin, yung struggle ko is dapat mabilis ka kasi may pila. Pero syempre, you don't know yung cash, hindi mo siya memorize, so isa-isahin mo pa, ganon. So medyo nakakahiya if you take your time. Yeah.
Yun nga dito sa, yung nagulat talaga ako nung first time ko mag-grocery na parang yung mga tao, like, sila mismo yung nag-scan nung nila, nung binili nila, lalagay nila sa basket. Yung ginagawa ng mga clerks, tinutulungan ka lang magbuhat ng basket sa susunod na part. Pero ikaw yung bibili nun for yourself, kasi ikaw rin magbabayad. Tapos parang, yung kung magbabahan ka nung uuwi mong grocery, merong sariling station doon para ilagay mo sa, eco bag mo, ganun, diba? Kaya parang, mas mabilis din in a way yung sistema sa ganun. Pero, nakakagulat siya kapag first time mong papunta sa ganung situation na parang kailangan mong mag-keep up kasi ginagawa ng ibang mga tao, diba?
Mas sinusundan mo lang yung just look at other people, just follow it. Kasi yung shopping carts, like hindi ko alam na kailangan mo palang mag-insert ng coin. Yung 100 yen coin.
High-tech yung sa
Sorry Nag-basket lang kasi kami, bigat-bigat minsan ng like bigas, gano'n. Tapos pwede pala gumamit ng card. Pero kailangan mo siyang insert ng coin, parang deposit.
Tapos makuha ko
Oo.
para pag...
Oo. Pero nalaman ko lang yung mga February.
Ako,
For what? Kasi yung sa center namin, pwede ka naman hiram ng bikes. As in, like, you just have to go to the... For free. Like, no time limit. As in, bibigyan ka na lang sa set. Tapos kabalik mo after mo. Tapos nakalagay mo and everything. So, nainom ako sa pagbabike. And then ngayon, wala akong bike. Tapos hindi rin bikeable yung streets. Tapos talagang hinahanap-hanap ko yung gusto ko mag-bike. Kasi, wala akong bike. Tapos what?
Ako dito sa pera, like, nung una, nahirapan ako mag-adjust sa yen kasi una sa lahat, like nasasanay pa lang ako sa denomination nila tapos kung ano yung actual conversion sa yung Philippine value niya and kung like okay mo siya sa gastos, di ba? Pero pagdating sa Pilipinas, na-whiplash din ako sa pera kasi una sa lahat, iba yung sukat ng pera ulit. Parang, lumipis yung pera bigla para sa akin, yung bills. Parang kung kapal ng kunwari, 10,000 yen. Mas parang pag-uwi ko dito, mas kahit yung 1,000 kasing haba lang niya yung 100 o kaya 50, mga ganun. Tapos rin, yung parang pagbalik ko dito na ugaran ako na parang kamusta na yung inflation? Parang nung huli kong stay sa Pilipinas, hindi pa ganito kamahal yung mga bilihin. So parang nagulat din ako na parang, ay ganito na kamahal ang sige 255 pesos na siya. So parang, dati nilang ito, mga 35, 45. Ganun. Kaya, yun, napilitan din ako mag-adjust na rin pagbalik dito.
Yun, parang madidistort din yung view mo kung ano ba yung mahal o ano yung mura. Kasi when you're in Japan, kapag nakita ka ng 100 yen, parang, pwede na, ganyan. Because everything else is like 1,000 yen. Ganun. So, ang mahal talaga ng bagay-bagay doon. So, yung dito, nakasanayan natin na yung like afford natin is like 30 pesos, 40 pesos, ganyan. Pero doon, wala kang makikita ganun. So, you have to adjust kung ano yung mura, ano yung mahal. And then, pagbalik ko dito, parang pag may sinabi ko, mura na yan. Tapos they're like, mura na yan? So, like, mura na yan sa Japan. Diba? Pag yan. Mura na yan.
Ano diba? Like, yung kunwari mga inumin dito sa Pilipinas, parang same price na sila sa vending machine na inumin sa Japan. Kaya parang, nung nakabalik ako dito na parang pareho lang yung presyo. Pero yun pala kung gano'n karami yung pera na meron ka, ang mahal na rin nung gasto sa inumin dito, di ba? Kaya parang, kailangan mo mag-adjust talaga.
Siguro first, I'll talk about yung education system nila sa Japan kasi medyo iba din yung way of handling classes nila doon. Sa experience ko, parang I had to take a minimum of 10 hours. Kaso yung 10 hours per week. Kaso yung parang every class was only around 1 to 2 hours per week. So hindi siya kagaya ng units dito na parang 3 hours per week. 2 session. So doon, parang usually 1 meeting lang per week. Kahit na 10 yung subject na tinake ko, parang hindi siya ganun kabigat compared dito. Like, study habits, siguro, I just try to do everything as quickly as possible in the sense na I had more free time to do other things then. And siguro yung na-realize ko is that I tend to be more productive when I'm studying in a more conducive environment. So, I took advantage talaga of the facilities sa school. Kunyari, mga library, kasi iba din yung mga library nila doon. Like, may Xerox machine, gano'n. And may mga free-to-use computers. So, meron naman din tayo dito. Pero, doon ko na-realize na parang it's important din to take advantage of what was given to us, especially in regard to like yung mga resources and stuff like that. Yun. So as much as possible, parang inaaya ko din yung mga tao na mag-aral with me because parang hindi na siya just studying, parang naging social act na rin siya. So,
for me, thanks to the help of the staff at JFKC or Japan Foundation of Kansai Center. It was in the teaching methods like how they conducted classes with us. But it helped me it helped instill like new practices. Like when I adopted them, it actually made the learning process more effective or like easier. So like one example was we did a lot of mind maps or like there's conceptualizations and you have to like really physically lay it out on a map. And so they also encourage na rather than full sentences, like kahit keywords lang. So that really helps to like deconstruct and like just simplify even like a long lecture that was like 2 hours, and then suddenly you just have to like handpick certain keywords that really that would encompass what you learn. And then it also helped because we were required to write essays, but then it also helped that they gave us templates to use, and then we could just not that we were required to just fill in the blanks, but it made it easy. Like it helped lighten the load. Then like, you just have to fill in some blanks since my template na naman. But I found that also very productive and effective for like speeding up the process.
I think one more to add to the teaching study habits na develop ko because of JFEs is the professors there kasi bali kami yung mga students, hindi kami Japanese pero lahat ng nagtuturo sa amin and the staff and everyone else is Japanese, and they have this habit na in the middle of class to take breaks, like the PKT class. It's very important to them na like in the middle of the class, if it's getting heavy, let's take a short break like 5 minutes and then let's go eat. So when studying din, pagbalik dito, naka-lock in na ako sa gabi or midnight. Sabi ko, parang gusto ko mag-QKG ka. Tapos yun, tapos wala. Nakaka-help siya na to get the juices more fresh and then get the juices going again.
Ako personally, feeling ko unique lang din sa KRFS na parang lumalabas sila medyo notorious din kasi siya for being quite heavy, on the heavy side ng like yung education niya. Kasi parang ito dito, I mean to be fair na siya, like matututo ka talaga sa comprehensiveness nung intensive course na meron. Pero kunwari like sa amin kasi, parang start pa lang ng class, meron kami mga short quiz na dito, short quizzes na parang dapat inaral mo muna prior to the quiz yung kunwari vocabulary items na parang yun yung maging content ng quiz. Kung ibang araw parang yung inaral yung grammar points nung previous day kasama siya sa inaral niya. Tapos simula pa lang yun ang araw, which is around like 9-10 a.m. Tapos around that time din, kapag na-late ka, automatic zero ka. So mapipilitan ka maging punctual, which is nangyari sa akin. So parang na-develop ko lang din na habit siguro dahil doon parang mas nagkaroon na ng clear-cut schedule na parang sa umaga, gigising ako ng maayos tapos pagpasok dapat ready ako kasi dapat naaral na. So either nag-aaral ako sa gabi ng homework ng Shukuday na ginagawa ko, or dito, matutulog ko muna ako sa pagod na ako tapos sa madaling araw ako gagawa ng homework ko. Para pagpasok sa school, ready pa rin ako sa yung hinihingi sa akin ng classes. Kaya parang, naging siya, effective din siya para sa akin na na-apply ko rin kahit dito sa Philippines.
So, mine is very specific. Since I mostly took Japanese classes, may one class ako na, actually it's supposed to be a presentation class, Hapyo class in Japanese. But yung sensei ko, lagi siya nagbibigay ng kanji exam. And we're like 20 in the class, and everyone else is Chinese. Oh. And I'm the one person who can't read or write kanji. So yun yung pinaka-naging struggle ko sa class. And yung sensei ko naman, very helpful siya kasi nga alam niya everyone's Chinese. Everyone can write kanji easily, but I can't. Kasi, I mean, I can read it or like type it sa computer, but like handwrite it, I guess yun din yung masasabi ko, like that's something na we didn't really focus on throughout our Japanese language education dito. Yeah, so I guess that's something we really had to work on. Well, I had to work on it while I was in Japan. And ayun, what I did was buy a kanji notebook. So meron siya sa Muji, and mas mura yung Muji. So like, the grid is really for writing kanji, for practicing writing kanji. Tapos yun, as in, write it all over again. Like, one whole page, just write it until ma-memorize ko siya. And for me, it became very helpful in the long run. Kasi, kunyari, may makita kang radical or like part of a kanji, and you know immediately na baka ganito yung reading or baka ganito yung meaning niya. Kasi nga, I already know the kanji. So, kahit feeling mo, hindi ko magagamit ang kanji na to in real life. So, kunyari, if you want to take JLPT or something, it will be very useful if you study your kanji by handwriting. Yeah.
So, ko yung magdagdag doon na parang, like, ako rin, kasi may elective ako na kanji sa KFL. So, parang, ang nangyayari kasi is yung sensei namin, dinidiscuss niya yung parang alphabetical way. Basta yung order nung nila, nung sa Onyomi, yung Chinese reading. So, parang yung mga A, tapos yung E, tapos mga gano'n. So, yun yung mga order ng kanji na dinidiscuss niya. Tapos, dinidiscuss niya yung meaning, tapos dinidiscuss niya yung mga examples kung saan lumalabas yung kanji na yun. So, parang, kapag nasanay ka talaga mag-note-taking, parang like, mapapabilis din yung pag-recall mo ng kanji. Like, ako personally, nung nag-notes din ako sa klase niya compared sa pag-asa lang sa, like, handouts, gano'n. So, nung nina-notes ko yung kanji, at least, kapag sinusulat ko yung isang kanji compound, since paulit-ulit yung kanji na ginagamit dun sa specific na set na yun, mas mabilis ko siya nare-recall like lahat ng radicals para sa moment na yun. And napipilit ako magawa kasi kailangan ko mag-keep up dun sa piece ng sensei. So, kapag nangis kayo pagsulat ng kanji ng mabilis, mahuhuli ako dun sa pag-copy ko ng notes dun sa projection ng yung notes. Kaya parang for me, magandang practice na talaga mag-note, lalo na sa Japanese.
I think one na ginawa namin doon na nagustuhan ko is we got to talk about social issues ng sarili namin mga bansa, pero in Japanese. So, very meaningful exchange for me kasi nakakapag-bond kami over Japanese while at the same time introducing our own cultures and societies din. So, tsaka parang nakakasa din yung other technical Japanese words na nasa vocab ko kasi pag may sinabi silang word na hindi ko alam, syempre tatanungin ko agad sa kanila, oh, do you mean ganyan? Tapos yun, parang masaya siyang gawin na activity just to enrich your vocab and at the same time you learn new things din na outside of your own society. So, cultural exchange.
For me naman, it's very specific sa sarili ko. But one thing I wanted to practice here in UP is to write like academic reports, academic writing in Japanese. But since we didn't really have classes na like nag-offer ng ganun, so I took that class when I went there and I realized na sobrang hirap pala niya. Kasi ibang-iba siya sa structure ng spoken Japanese, which what we're used to. So ayun, I think as early as now, if you like plan to immerse yourself deeper into Japanese language, a necessity is to learn how to read and write academically or like formally in Japanese kasi it's really like mga contracts ganyan or like anything formal na you have to deal with is most likely going to be in very formal Japanese, and it's very different kasi kango yung ginagamit, so it's not like the Japanese pronunciation when you're speaking, it's the kanji. So, yun, that's something you have to work on if you want to. Yeah.
Sa akin, very helpful na activity sa akin. Puro Japanese class dun kasi yung dinay ko. Pero dun kasi, lahat na activities in class mo gagawin. So, meron akong writing class na medyo napilitan akong magsulat handwritten ng essay, full essay. In class, 45 minutes to write an essay.
Yeah.
Tapos you can't use
phones. Yeah. It's handwritten.
Sobrang na-pressure ako. Grabe, kaya napilitan ako after that na, I need to know at least the basic kanji.
Yeah.
The basic vocab. Tapos, yung isa ko naman class na speaking class. Ganun din. In class, and then you have to make up dialogues. Have to conversation. I really like that. Feel ko, kasi we were given the freedom to think of like crazy scenarios. Parang, ang sabi sa amin ng prof, isip kayo lang
ano bang pag-usapan nyo ng friends nyo after. Tapos, i-incorporate nyo yung grammar or yung pattern na pinag-usapan. So, that was really cool.
Yun din. Sa university kasi namin ni Van, sobrang, I'd say like traditional ng mga bagay. So they don't like using computer or phone for stuff. So mostly essays namin is handwritten. Tapos even if like talking to staff or like may bibigay ng mga contracts and stuff, lahat talaga handwritten and all in Japanese. So yun, you have to be prepared to like not be super dependent sa Jisho or sa phone mo. Kasi may mga places sa Japan na talagang they prefer the traditional way na hindi gumagamit ng technology. Yeah.
Just wanna add din dun sa writing class na yun. Every meeting, like we're given 15 minutes to write a very short essay about a random topic. Kaya, ayun nga, yung mention kanina na dito sa UP, never naman kami nag-writing, as in, hindi ako praktisado, kada lang yung alam kong isulat. Yung very basic kanji, hindi ko kaya isulat na nandun lang sa Japan. Pero, napipita lang.
I think that's na. Kasi sa classes namin, minsan, lahat, like 26. And most of the time, like, unti-unti, hinahati kami to different classes and different classrooms. Tapos, iba-iba yung prof na teacher na mapupunta sa amin, depending on the day, na hindi namin alam kung sino yung magtuturo sa amin that day. And sobrang lalayo ng personalities nila sa isa't isa, to the point na ikaw yung kailangan mag-adjust ng personality sa kanila. Kasi merong iba na sobrang waf magturo, and merong iba na sobrang kibishi, like sobrang strict. So, kailangan din namin na mag-adjust and like, pero yung one common thing about them is they're gonna draw out the confidence in you. Like, makikipag-interact talaga sila sa'yo. Like, pag re-reciting ka nila, tatawagin ka nila by name. So, I think, yung pressure doon muna, na talagang pressure siya sa akin kasi hindi ako pala recite sa Japanese classes natin. Parang, unti-unti, nag-uwi yung confidence ko dahil parang unti lang kami sa klase. So, I think, I'd like to share that with my kawaii na ngayon pa lang, try to build up your confidence in speaking in front of other people para, ayun, reciting ko.
So, ano din yung doon na parang sa experience ko na sa KFS madami rin yung mga speaking activities na i-assign ko na rin sa partner ka dun sa klase mo. Tapos, pag-usapan niya yung topic na inaaral niya. Tapos, na-try niya na-explain sa isa't isa kung yung parang thoughts yung mga ganung bagay. Parang, sa ganung klaseng exercise pa lang, lumalabas na agad yung parang napipilitan kang mag-keep up talaga na kung hindi mo pa alam kung paano ito i-explain, itong idea na meron ka sa, yung naintindihan mo sa language mo, pero paano mo siya i-express in your L2 or yung second language mo na, which is Japanese. Parang, probably kung start ka sa mga mas madadaling words na alam mo na parang i-combine mo sila para na ma-communicate mo yung intended meaning mo sa kausap mo, diba? Pero, in a way, like, as time goes at parang mas nakakasa rin yun, mas build kayo ng relationship sa isa't isa na parang mas naiintindihan niyo yung isa't isa along the way, diba? Kasi mas naiintindihan niyo yung sinasabi ng isa't isa. Tapos, mas lalo lang lumalalim din yung understanding mo ng language na pareho kayong inaaral din, diba? I think that's also like one thing to look for kapag nag-aaral mo yung speaking ability pagdating sa language.
Realizations, honestly, nung pagkatas ng program, naisip ko na I'm maybe way stronger than I give myself credit for. Kasi yung pagkahalin na sa sarili ko, parang medyo shy, introverted ka na. Tapos, syempre, pag sinapa ka sa isang foreign country na mag-isa ka lang, na first time ko rin na lumipad outside the country. And first time ko rin mamuhay mo isa. So, parang lahat yun, nung pagka-uwi ko, naisip ko, lahat yung nagawa ko, na ako lang. And very, 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 pero syempre, took a toll on me. Kasi, ayun, may isang nag-dorm, ano dito, grocery na mag-isa, ikaw mag-handle ng bag mo, stuff like that, yung laundry mo, whatever. Nag-part-time din ako, so that was a huge thing for me. Tapos, yun din yung balance ko ng ACADS ko for the social life. Siyempre, mag-isa lang ako doon, walang ibang Filipino doon. Tapos, I really had to go out there and make international friends kasi I guess, wala akong naging Japanese na friend kasi sila rin mahihain. Ako rin mahihain. So, ayun, marami lang nangyari na after the fact ko na lang na-realize na maybe if it were someone else na hindi ganun kalakas yung result or whatever, baka nag-breakdown na sila or hindi na nila kanaya. So, I was proud of myself.
Honestly, so mag-agree rin ako kasi kakagaling ko lang din kanina sa, yung point kasi may, sa elementary caravan lang din kanina. So, nag-testimony ako sa experience ko doon. And, isa rin sa mga binigay ko parang tips sa mga aspiring na exchange student people. Sabi ko, parang kailangan nyo ng grit, yung sense of perseverance, diba? Na parang kailangan mong tsagain yung buong process. Kasi, as much as exciting siya pakinggan, very, tolling siya sa atin bilang tao. Na parang, ang taxing niya sa di lang sa emotionally, pati physically, ang daming different factors na nakaka-challenge sa atin, diba? Bilang tao. So parang, knowing na nakabalik tayo dito sa Pilipinas, buhay pa rin tayo, ganun or na lampasan natin yung mga challenges na ganito, diba? Parang, nakaka-boost din talaga siya ng confidence na, wow, nagawa ko nga ito, diba? Parang, kunwari ako, sobrang hirap nung nag-struggle ko sa pagbili ng phone. Kasi, hindi gumagana yung phone ko doon. So, parang kailangan ng communication, gano'n. Tapos parang, hindi ko maintindihan yung business level Japanese. Parang yung nagbebenta ng phone sa akin, parang nakatitig na lang siya sa akin. Tapos hindi niya ma-explain. Tapos pinatay niya yung Google Translate. So, parang, natawid ko naman siya. Natutunan ko yung word na issue, na ibig sabihin ng model ng phone. Hindi pala siya tissue, hindi siya tissue paper, hindi pala ganun. So parang it might sound as nakakahiya na embarrassing siya at the moment. Pero if you retrospectively, parang magandang learning experience siya na parang hindi ko ito matututunan sa Pilipinas. Na parang bakit ka naman malalaman yung word ng phone model in Japanese sa Pilipinas, diba? Na parang, yun yung mga bagay na kapag na-trial by fire ka lang, lalabas ka mas matibay. I guess, metaphor.
Trial by fire.
Diba?
Yeah. Actually, yeah. Parang similar din, na parang first time ko rin kasi na mag-live on my own. So, I live at home. So, yung first time ko talaga, I had to learn how to cook for myself, basically, and then, do everything by myself. So, parang I gained some confidence in myself. Kasi usually sa bahay, ababa ng tingin nila sa akin. So, parang, okay, kaya ko naman pala. And, yung yung proseso mismo, even before going to Japan, it's very long, it's very tedious. So, I don't think that, if you didn't have the perseverance or, the grit for it, kaya mo siyang isubmit lahat. And yeah, I also gained siguro a bit of confidence in my Japanese kasi ako rin yung sana kayo rin kasi ako yung sa dorm kasi namin, ako lang puro Southeast Asian kami and ako lang yung nag-aral ng Japanese in school, in university. So, ako yung pinapatawag sa kanila, can you please call the post office? Papadala ko to, gano'n. Ako yung kausap. Tapos, Tapos yung isang friend ko, mag-enroll kasi siya. May problema kasi siya doon sa enrollment niya. So, ako yung dinala niya, ako yung binitbit niya papunta sa office. Ako yung Google Translate. Tapos, kinausap ko yung guy, gano'n. CRS. OUR.
Yeah.
So, parang, sabi ko, kaya ko pala. Yung mga ganun.
Yeah. Same din kay Pao. Like, yung roommate ko kasi hindi siya marunong mag-Japanese. So, human translator kami. Pero like, yan, syempre, like, we run into problems na requires, like, official proceedings and stuff. So, you really have to, like, brace yourself na I can do this in, like, full Japanese. And even if I can't, actually, even if you can't, you have to make do it. Like, even if you can't explain it in the best way possible, you just have to, like, come up with something even remotely similar to what you want to convey to just, you know, be able to tell something. Kasi, yeah, hindi ka, I mean, like, yeah, we're all Japanese language learners, pero hindi pa naman kami, like, full yung vocabs namin or yung grammar patterns namin and stuff. So, talagang, you just need to come up with something na, like, this is what I'm trying to say. So, I hope you understand. Ganun. Yeah.
Like, changes, like, it was really this understanding that kind of made me sad na it helps when there's privilege. Kasi one reason why studying became very effective was because that was your only task, that to learn Japanese, and then like the environment is so conducive, like the staff there actually laid out a schedule for you, and like just really literally follow it or participate. Or like there's also a receptionist na can easily, but like information is so accessible then. So, but all of that is, it all sums up to privilege. You know, like just one way of looking at it, and like how when you come back here, it's hard to, you know, be a student, not thinking of so many other things, and like it really gets in the way of your studies. But then like it's also kind of saddening, pero it's also like a motivator then. To like, I don't know, like reorganize your life, maybe just like do away with old habits that actually like interferes with your student life, you know, like just a lot of re-evaluating has like happened inside me like after coming back from Japan.
So for me naman, kasi nga, yung klase namin, iba-iba kami, iba-iba yung nationalities namin, and nakapag-share din sila na, kahit outside of class time, nakapag-share sila ng mga gagawin sa bansa ko, yung culture namin, gano'n yung beliefs ng mga tao. Ngayon, parang mas naging in touch ako, I guess, sa mga global issues. I mean, not that I was in touch before, pero mas natatama ko sila kasi may kakilala ako dito sa bansang to na binobomba ngayon. Parang ganun yung feeling niya. And mas, parang everything reminds me of them. Parang, mas gusto kong, mas may drive, mas may motivation akong matuto tungkol dun sa mga nangyayari sa bansa ngayon. Kasi alam ko, may kakilala ako. I mean, kahit naman, wala akong kakilala. Siyempre, gusto akong matuto sa gusto akong malaman yun. Pero like, it helps na mas nararamdaman ko yung mga kasi I don't think over most cases. Parang mas naging pathetic ako sa mga nangyayari.
Parang magdagdag doon, parang like ako rin like yung iba't ibang mga tao na kilala na doon may sarili rin sila mga kwento, diba, sa buhay nila. Na parang, yun na rin, mga tao sa Myanmar, natutunan ka na may gera pa nang nangyari doon ngayon. Na parang meron dictator na nakaupo daw sa government nila ngayon, tapos parang napilitang umalis sa bansa yung maraming Burmese students, yung taga Myanmar, diba, na pupunta sa mga countries like Japan or Taiwan, mas accommodating sa tertiary education nila. So parang hindi ako aware sa ganung klaseng social issues sa kanila until nung experience ko yung exchange program with them, diba? Parang interesting din siya, and hindi lang limited to like other countries, pero pati rin sa usapang Pilipinas. Parang yung mga Filipino na kilala ko sa Kyoto, like iba-iba rin yung mga pinagagalingan nila kasi meron ako nakilala exchange student din, pero half Filipino, half German. So di siya masyadong in touch with yung Philippine side niya, pero open siya sa na matutunan pa. Kasi taga Cebu yung nanay niya, kasi parang gusto rin niya matutunan Bisaya. Yung, meron din ako kalala na full Filipino by blood, pero lumaki siya sa US. So, ang pagkakakilala niya sa sarili niya, American siya, pero parang mas ancestral sa kanya yung Pilipinas. Tapos, meron din ang nakilala na exchange student naman na taga-Davao naman. So, parang iba-iba rin yung mga pinanggagalingan ng mga Pilipino. Pero, in a way, lahat pa rin Pilipino, di ba? So, parang may iba't iba rin tayong mga context ng pinanggagalingan. Tapos, kapag like, nakita mo yung mga ganitong tao na nag-exist talaga sila, nakakausap mo sila, parang mas lumalawak rin talaga yung pagtingin mo sa mundo na hindi lang umiikot sa mundo mo yung nangyayari. Kasi parang, kunwari, kung nasa UP tayo ngayon, parang nasa bubble din tayo ng UP education natin, ng paano yung nakikita natin perspectives, ano yung mas napapush na dominant narratives sa society natin and sa counterculture sa UP, diba? Pero yung mga ganong klaseng discussion, hindi naman sila necessarily nag-exist sa ibang lugar. So parang kapag nag-step out ka sa yung environment na kilala mo at the moment sa lugar mo, parang makikita mo sa ibang lugar, ganito yung mga klaseng usapan na lumilitaw, diba? Parang mas nakakatulong sa development mo as a person. Parang ganito pala yung mga nangyayari sa mundo and mas na-influence din yung mga decisions na pwede mo gawin sa buhay.
Yeah. To add lang din, like, yun nga, parang yung pinaka-main realization ko actually after going there is like, to be more like open na what's normal to you may not be normal to other people. And I know that, alam natin yan ever since. Pero once you actually like experience it, dun mo marirealize na ibang-iba talaga yung like cultures, ibang-iba yung mga basis of like what's morally correct and what's morally wrong to other people. And you can't necessarily blame them for it kasi that's how they were raised, that's how they were educated. So like, kunyari, I mean, for us here in UP, all UP students are aware of like Palestine, aware of the boycotts, ganyan. But going there, seeing everyone go to Starbucks, McDonald's, like nothing's happening. And it's like, can I really blame them for it? Diba? Like, can I really call these people uneducated? Because they're the smartest, there's like some of the smartest people I know. But maybe perhaps like the way they see the world isn't the way that I see it. So kailangan ko rin, I need to put myself in their shoes na like maybe they're lacking in this and for that, and yeah, I try my best to like, oh, but there's this and that, and like we have healthy conversations because I think yung tendency sa UP students is like, if you don't know this or if you don't know that, if you're not aware of the social issue or iba yung pagkakaintindi mo, parang there's a tendency to villainize someone, and I've always like thought na parang counterproductive niya. And like we need to have like healthy conversations without attacking people who have different viewpoints from us. And ayun din, like in the case of like the world is so much bigger than what you think it is. Like for me, I've considered like maybe I can work in Japan, ganyan, stay there. But now that I've seen the reality of it, and then I've met so many people from different other countries, and I've seen mas marami pang opportunities. So you don't have to limit yourself to something just because you think na pwede na yan. You don't have to settle. You can like go out there and learn more about the other places in the world and like experience more and discover more kasi there's just still like a lot to learn. And I think yun din, like they were saying na we were very strong for being able to finish these programs, and I think that after like all these learnings, after all these experiences that we have, parang it became like fuel siguro for us to become like better versions of ourselves and like to see more of the world than what we like just saw before. Yeah.
So parang like ang dami natin natitake for granted din talaga, diba? Parang like once you see na it's something na pwede mong i-criticize or at least i-re-evaluate, parang mas lumalawak talaga yung understanding sa mundo. Parang nawawala sa yung pagiging naive sa mga perspective mo na parang mas nagiging bukas ka sa mga experiences na pwede mong ma-accept na makuha mo na talaga kapag nakita mo na sila face to face. Parang interesting din siya.
Kahit hindi exchange yung pasukan, kasi kami hindi mo nag-exchange, pero just grab the opportunities, as much opportunities as you can, kasi it'll give you experiences that you can't have while here, like staying in the classroom. Like, as much as possible, you have to venture out of like what's the norm for you, and go out of the box. Take your chances. Believe in yourself. Kasi kung natatakot, kasi maraming parang ayaw kasi, it's scary, girl. Yung environment. Girl, I can do it.
Tapos yun din, like, before kasi last year, I was part of the Japan Airlines Scholarship Program. So, hindi siya exchange like program, parang siyang program nila. And like, nung time na yon, hindi pa ako like ganun ka-confident with my Nihongo. Tapos parang sinabi sa akin nung interviewer na the interview is gonna be in full Japanese and you have to talk about like SDGs, environmental issues. And I'm like, in full Japanese? So, I really got scared and they told me to come to the office and I was considering na hindi na lang ako pupunta, I'll just vanish, ganyan, kasi I was so scared because I was so sure I couldn't do it in Japanese. But then yun, I fought against that fear. And if you fight against that fear and just go for it, like even if, yun nga sabi ko, like, you're not gonna be perfect in Japanese, but just find some way to be able to tell what you want to say. And you'll make it, you'll make it through. So yun, don't let your fear consume.
Just do it scared.
Yeah.
You're gonna do it scared.
Related to that, I think something that I always bring with me anywhere is don't be shy to ask. Just ask. Kahit something, kahit minsan nautal ka or sobrang nahiya ka na, or if you really need like this information, you should just ask kasi usually you'll get your answer is so much more.
So ano mong dagdag ko sa ano yun, parang like, kailangan mo lang i-conquer yung ano mo, diba? Yung fear mo na kung paano mo gagawin yung isang bagay. Kasi, kunwari ako, usually may anxiety sa phone calls, like dito sa Pilipinas, before pa ako umalis. Parang, ayaw talaga mag-phone call. If anything, parang pwede ko order na lang online, or gano'n, or kitain ko na lang face-to-face ng isang tao. Pero, pagdating ko sa Japan, yung norm pagdating sa haircut, kasi lalaki, diba usually nagpapagupit, ang usual na nangyayari sa Japan ay nagsiset ka ng appointment through phone call bago ka pumunta dun sa salon or sa pagupitan para makapagpagupit ka. Eh, inuutosan ako ng nanay ko magpagupit. So parang wala akong other choice kundi i-conquer yung fear ko at tumawag yung Japanese. So, naitawid ko yun. Tapos, in a way, parang sanay na rin ako tumawag sa Japanese. So, pag-uwi ko ng Pilipinas, parang na-realize ko sa sarili ko na, mas confident na rin ako tumawag sa Tagalog kasi kung kaya ko siyang gawin sa Japanese, paano pa kaya sa native language ko, diba? So parang skills din siya na parang nakakasama lang kapag talaga yung step up ka of your comfort zone. Diba? Parang mas pwede mo siyang ma-achieve.
At dito, parang don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to ask. Just don't be afraid to ask for help. Kasi ako, may personal experience ako, nalagad ako sa bike. May sugat-sugat na din ako. Pero, kung isipin mo kung sinalagay ko yung experience na yun, like, kung siya lang, si Abby lang yung tumulong sa akin, siguro ngayon putol na itong kamay ko. Kasi pupunta ako hospital pa and everything. So, parang very important to ask for help. Not even in dire situations like this. Like, kahit the simplest stuff na hindi mo ma-gets, like, there's nothing wrong with asking for help.
Also, gusto ko yung dagdag na parang advice ko sa mga kuhay na dito. Hindi masyadong i-romanticize Japan. Kasi kunwari, there's people who romanticize the weather, yung climate and yung the seasons in Japan. Ako personally, yung experience ko sa seasons ng Kyoto ay nag-nosebleed ako sa lamig sa nung malapit na winter. Nagka-hay fever ako nung spring. So, pula-pula yung mata ko. Parang nag-concern na yung parents ko. Bakit pula yung mata mo, Aldrich? Kasi may allergy ako. Tapos, nung summer, sobrang init naman na hindi ka na rin ako ma-dehydrate. So, parang, like, maganda sila isipin from kapag nababasa mo na, wow, may ganito or may ganito sa Japan. Pero, if you over-romanticize what you're trying to study, ganun, parang kapag nakita mo na siya as it is, parang you're setting yourself up for disappointment, diba? Parang manage your expectations.
Yeah. Diba? One tip I have for Kohai then is to be like an advocate of related to what Albert said. It doesn't end with you just like learning about Japan, like Japanese and Japanese culture. Like after that, what? So like you're learning a language to use it. So like form connections, make friends, and like widen your perspective. And so like the program with my experience helped me to it pushed me to be an advocate for like Philippine culture, for like my experiences, my friends, and like even my own weirdness. So like there's an exchange because it doesn't end with just like Japan is not the end goal. Like after that, there's more.
There's value added.
There's value added. Just learning language where you're learning it's a tool to build friendships and connections. Friendships.
Like nasabi kasi lahat actually. Like siguro be proud na Filipino.
Yes.
Galing kayo ng UP and galing kayo ng Philippines. Kasi definitely like ulit like where do you come from? Philippines. We're Philippines. Yeah. Kasi during my stay there, parang na-realize ko din na ang dami nating bagay na mas okay pala dito. Like cases sa Japan. Like, I don't know. For me, yung isa is like yung food. I really love Filipino food. Like, I'm so sorry. Pero, ayun. Tapos marami din diba, like, yung friendliness siguro ng mga tao. And just the general, like, environment. It feels more like home here. Yeah. So, ayun. Just be proud. Proud Filipino.
Have fun.
May Jollibee tayo, guys.
Yeah.
First meal of the day, kabalik.
Ako rin.
Diba?
Potato car.
First meal, Jollibee.
Popcorn.
Yeah.